What if I told you there's a vegetable growing right here in America that smells exactly like peanut butter, or another that looks like alien eggs but tastes like cucumber with lime? You've seen carrots, potatoes, and broccoli 100 times, but what about cucamelons that burst with citrus tang, or roots so packed with protein they once sustained entire tribes through harsh winters? The USA isn't just home to classic crops, it's secretly growing some of the most bizarre edible plants on the planet. Today at Stellar Eureka, we are diving into the soil of American curiosity and uncovering the 10 weirdest vegetables growing right here in the United States. Despite the name, the Jerusalem artichoke has nothing to do with Jerusalem, and it's not an artichoke either. This knobby ginger-like root is actually a type of sunflower native to eastern North America, where indigenous peoples cultivated it long before Europeans arrived. Often called a sunchoke, it's one of the most uniquely flavored root vegetables out there. Nutty, slightly sweet, and sometimes compared to water chestnuts or jicama when raw. Above ground, it grows into a towering yellow flower giant that can reach over 10 feet tall. Below, it hides a tangled network of pale, lumpy tubers that thrive in poor soil and require little care. They're particularly abundant in New England's rocky soils and throughout the Midwest, where farmers appreciate their ability to produce bountifully where other crops struggle. The real twist? These roots are loaded with inulin, a fiber that isn't digested like starch, which means it's diabetic-friendly, but also notorious for causing spectacular gas if you eat too much. So much so that some chefs have nicknamed them fartichokes. When cooked, they transform completely, becoming soft and creamy with a texture perfect for velvety soups or crispy-edged roasted sides. Sunchokes are grown across much of the U.S. today, especially in places like New York, Ohio, and Illinois. They're a forager's dream and a chef's secret weapon, particularly in the cooler months when other produce becomes scarce. Once you've tried them drizzled with brown butter and herbs, you'll wonder how such a strange root stayed under the radar for so long. From the sunlight-loving sunchoke, we dive deeper into the forest floor, where one of America's most nutritious native foods has been hiding in plain sight for centuries. This isn't your average peanut. The groundnut, also called Indian potato or hopness, is a native North American legume with a fascinating backstory. Indigenous tribes across the eastern U.S., including the Wampanoag, Cherokee, and Iroquois, relied on its tubers and beans as a key food source, sometimes even cultivating it in forest gardens. The vine produces small, brown potato-like roots that are starchy, nutty, and rich in protein, nearly triple that of a regular potato. The plant grows like a wild bean, trailing across shrubs or trellises with clusters of fragrant reddish-purple flowers that smell faintly of violets. Both the tubers and the seeds are edible, making it a rare two-in-one staple. These underground treasures grow in chains like beads on a necklace, ranging in size from a marble to a golf ball, with a taste that combines the earthiness of a potato with the creaminess of chestnuts. When the Pilgrims first arrived at Plymouth, groundnuts literally saved them from starvation. Today, a few researchers and native plant enthusiasts are working to domesticate it as a sustainable crop, especially since it thrives in wetlands and poor soil with little effort, fixing nitrogen in the soil like its legume relatives. Despite its historical importance, groundnut remains mostly unknown to modern Americans, but its culinary and ecological potential is gaining attention in permaculture circles, where it's valued for its ability to produce food with minimal inputs. Chefs who've rediscovered it are incorporating the nutty tubers into everything from warming stews to innovative plant-based proteins. While groundnuts hide their treasures beneath forest soil, our next oddity stands boldly above ground, looking like it just landed from another planet. With a bulbous stem that hovers above the earth like a pale green UFO, kohlrabi is perhaps the strangest looking member of the cabbage family. German immigrants brought this curious vegetable to America in the 1800s, where it thrived particularly well in the cool climates of the Midwest. Imagine a turnip crossed with cabbage, then elevated on a short, stocky stalk surrounded by leaves that shoot outward like a crown. That's kohlrabi. When you slice into its tough exterior, the crisp, juicy flesh inside has a sweet, mild flavor somewhere between broccoli stem and apple. The entire plant is edible, from the alien-like bulb to the tender leaves, which taste similar to collard greens. In Minnesota and Wisconsin, where Scandinavian and German heritage runs deep, you'll find kohlrabi slaws, fritters, and even pickles as part of the culinary landscape. What makes kohlrabi especially weird is how it grows. Unlike most vegetables, its edible portion isn't a root, fruit, or leaf, but rather a swollen stem that develops just above soil level. Available in both green and vibrant purple varieties, it creates an otherworldly sight in garden rows. Yet despite its extraterrestrial appearance, kohlrabi is gaining popularity with both small farmers and home gardeners across America for its versatility and distinctive sweet crunch. Weird looking? Definitely. Worth trying? Absolutely. As strange as kohlrabi appears, our next vegetable might be even more visually distinctive, with curves and stripes that seem designed for display rather than dinner. From the geometric oddity of kohlrabi, we enter the world of heirloom vegetables with a shape so distinctive it looks like it was designed by a folk artist rather than nature. With its long, curved neck and streaked green and white skin, Cushaw squash resembles a gourd that took a wrong turn during development. This distinctive heirloom vegetable has deep roots in American Southern cuisine, especially in Louisiana, Tennessee, and the Carolinas. Thought to have originated in Mesoamerica, Cushaw made its way into U.S. gardens centuries ago and became a staple crop thanks to its resistance to pests and harsh weather. Its flesh is golden, mildly sweet, and less watery than most pumpkins, making it ideal for pies, soups, and casseroles. The texture transforms when cooked, becoming velvety and rich, so much so that many Southern bakers insist it makes a far superior pie to ordinary pumpkin. Many Southern families still have recipes passed down through generations featuring Cushaw as the star ingredient. It's also a hit with livestock. Some farmers grow it for both the table and the trough. The vine grows aggressively, producing large fruits that can weigh up to 20 pounds and store well through the winter without refrigeration. In Appalachia, some families call it Tennessee sweet potato and use it interchangeably with sweet potatoes in traditional dishes. Its rugged reliability once made it essential for frontier survival, and now it's being rediscovered by heirloom seed savers and culinary historians alike. Where these giant striped squashes once shaded southern soil, our next vegetable quietly pushed through Appalachian forest with a scent so powerful it could wake up a mountain. From the southern fields to misty mountain hollows, we now encounter a vegetable so pungent it's been known to close schools when children brought them for lunch. Wraps might look like dainty little scallions, but don't be fooled. These wild leeks pack a punch that'll clear your sinuses and announce your lunch choice to everyone within 20 feet. Native to the Appalachian Mountains and parts of the eastern U.S., wraps are one of the most sought-after foraged vegetables in spring. Their garlicky onion flavor is bold, earthy, and unmistakable, with a scent that can take over an entire kitchen. For centuries, they were prized by indigenous tribes and later by Appalachian communities as a cleansing, nutrient-rich tonic after long winters. The plant has broad, tender leaves and slender stems that turn reddish toward the root, creating a watercolor-like gradient in the forest understory. Everything is edible: leaves, stems, and bulbs, though most chefs favor using them fresh in pestos, pickles, or tossed with eggs and potatoes. The flavor is so intense that even a small amount transforms a dish completely. leaving a lingering taste that's both sweet and savory. Because they grow slowly and are vulnerable to overharvesting, ramps are now at the center of ethical foraging conversations, with some states even restricting commercial harvest. Some towns in West Virginia and Tennessee still celebrate annual ramp feeds, community festivals where tables groan under the weight of ramp-laden dishes and the air is thick with their distinctive aroma. While ramps announce themselves with bold aromatics, our next vegetable captures attention with its elegant form rather than its scent. We turn to a subtler member of the Allium family that brings elegance to America's wild edibles, with delicate, arching stems and clusters of bell-shaped pink flowers that nod toward the ground. The nodding onion looks more like a wildflower than a vegetable, but this native allium, found across much of North America, has been used for centuries as both food and medicine. Indigenous peoples once crushed the bulbs for flavoring, used the leaves in teas, and even applied the plant topically to treat infections and wounds. What sets the nodding onion apart isn't just its appearance, it's the flavor. The entire plant is edible and has a mild garlicky onion taste that's perfect for sautés, compound butters, or garden pestos. Long green leaves can be snipped like chives, and the bulbs harvested in the late summer for cooking or pickling. Unlike invasive garlic or aggressive leeks, this plant grows well in native prairie gardens and forest edges without crowding out neighbors. When the pink to lavender flower clusters bloom in late summer, they create a ballet of color, drawing in bees, butterflies, and hummingbirds. The flowers themselves are edible too, adding a splash of color and mild pungency to summer salads. In the wild, you might spot them gracing rocky outcrops or prairie edges from New York to California, their distinctive drooping flower heads swaying in the breeze. Nodding onion thrives in dry soils and full sun, making it an excellent low-maintenance choice for eco-friendly landscaping across the American West and Midwest. It also attracts pollinators, adding beauty and biodiversity. But while this allium bows its head in bloom, our next vegetable climbs upward and produces a fruit that's technically a gourd but behaves like a crisp summer squash with a subtle tropical twist. You might have passed by the chayote at a market without giving it a second look. Pale green, pear-shaped, and slightly wrinkled with a gentle furrow running down its center. This vegetable doesn't exactly scream for attention, but it's a quiet powerhouse with a surprising secret. While often associated with Latin American cuisine, chayote grows wild in the southern United States, especially in parts of Texas, Louisiana, and Florida, where it's been adopted into local food traditions with enthusiasm. It climbs on vines like a cucumber, producing dozens of tender fruits that taste like a cross between zucchini and jicama, crisp, mild, and refreshingly juicy. Slice one open and you'll find a single large edible seed nestled in the center that tastes faintly of almond when cooked. Unlike most vegetables where we discard parts, virtually the entire chayote plant is edible. Fruit, seeds, shoots, leaves, and even tuber-like roots that develop underground. In Cajun cooking, it's called melon and frequently shows up in holiday casseroles and seafood dishes. New Orleans chefs stuff them with spicy shrimp and breadcrumbs, creating a dish that's become a Thanksgiving tradition. In Florida, Cuban-American families often braise them with garlic and olive oil as a simple side dish. Hardy and heat-loving, chayote thrives in warm, humid climates and requires very little to flourish. Its vines grow aggressively, wrapping around trellises and fences like they own the place, producing fruit continuously from summer until frost. A single plant can yield upwards of 50 fruits in a season, making it a backyard garden superstar. If you think chayote's versatility is impressive, wait until you meet a leafy green that grows wild in yards, fields, and roadside ditches across the U.S., and has been feeding families long before supermarkets ever existed. Spicy, sharp, and completely unapologetic, wild mustard greens are not for the faint of palate. Found all over the U.S., These leafy greens are part of the same family as cabbage and broccoli, but grow like weeds in open fields, gardens, and even sidewalk cracks. Their bright yellow flowers dot the landscape in spring, creating spectacular golden fields in places like California's wine country. Early American settlers foraged them for flavor and nutrition, and today they're still a staple in southern kitchens and survivalist circles. The leaves have a peppery bite that intensifies as the plant matures, making them ideal for braising, sautéing, or tossing into bold salads. When cooked, they release a pungent aroma that fills the kitchen with their unmistakable mustard scent. They're rich in vitamins A, C, and K, and loaded with antioxidants that far exceed those in cultivated greens. Even better, you don't have to plant them. They often show up uninvited, ready to stir-fry. What makes them weird isn't just the heat, it's how adaptable they are. You'll find dozens of wild varieties growing coast to coast, some with jagged leaves, others with ruffled or even fuzzy textures. Some are bitter, some sour, and others strike a surprisingly sweet note when cooked with a bit of bacon and vinegar, a traditional southern preparation. The seeds can be harvested and ground to make homemade mustard, connecting your condiment directly to the land. From the fiery punch of wild mustard, we step into something gentler, a winter-hardy green that defies the cold with surprising delicacy. Corn salad doesn't grow on corn. In fact, it has nothing to do with corn at all. This delicate, nutty-tasting green, also known as mosh or lamb's lettuce, was once a common winter green for early American settlers. It grows low to the ground, forming loose rosettes of spoon-shaped leaves that stay tender even in chilly weather. Though originally brought to North America from Europe, it quickly naturalized in parts of the U.S., especially along the East Coast and Pacific Northwest. Unlike lettuce, which wilts at the first sign of frost, corn salad thrives in cold soil, nestling close to the ground where it captures whatever warmth it can find. It's often one of the few fresh greens available in the dead of winter, which made it a prized crop for colonial kitchens and homestead gardens. Its flavor is mild, buttery, and slightly earthy, perfect for cold weather salads or as a base for roasted root vegetables. The tender leaves have a distinctive velvety texture, almost melting in your mouth, a quality that made it popular among European aristocracy before it became a staple for American pioneers. Thomas Jefferson grew it at Monticello, noting its reliability during Virginia's winters. Today, ambitious market gardeners are rediscovering this heirloom green, appreciating its ability to grow during off-seasons when other crops can't. It might not look flashy, but this soft green is quietly resilient, growing where other crops won't. Foragers still seek it out in meadows and fields, and heirloom growers are bringing it back to cold season menus for those who appreciate its subtle charms. But if corn salad plays it quiet, our 10th and final vegetable throws a miniature garden party with tiny watermelon lookalikes that deliver a surprising citrus punch in every bite. Mouse melons look like baby watermelons but are more closely related to cucumbers. Known as Mexican sour gherkins or cucamelons, these tiny grape-sized fruits deliver a bright, tart crunch that's perfect raw or pickled. Bite into one and you'll get the coolness of cucumber with a citrusy twist that surprises first-timers. Native to Central America, mouse melons have been embraced by American gardeners in warm regions like Texas, Florida, and California. Their vines grow quickly on trellises, producing dozens, even hundreds of fruits per season. They're highly pest-resistant, drought-tolerant, and perfect for small gardens or urban spaces. Best of all, they're a conversation starter at any farmer's market or picnic table. While still uncommon in mainstream grocery stores, mouse melons are growing in popularity thanks to their novelty, flavor, and ease of growth. They're often used in salsa, tossed into grain bowls, or even muddled into summer cocktails for a zesty twist. The plants also play well with companion crops, attracting pollinators and helping deter some common pests. Whether tossed into summer salads, speared on a cocktail stick, or just jarred into tangy pickles, these mouse melons add both flavor and fun to every table. They're the perfect finale to our tour of America's weirdest vegetables, tiny in size but big on personality and flavor. From knobby roots with surprising flavors to tiny watermelon lookalikes, America's weird vegetables remind us that there's so much more to discover beyond the grocery store produce aisle. Which one blew your mind the most? Have you tasted any of these weird vegetables or grown them yourself? Drop us a comment below. We'd love to hear your experiences. If you enjoyed this exploration of America's strangest edible plants, be sure to like, subscribe, and share with fellow food adventurers. This is Stellar Eureka, signing off.